what's the integral of this? So the first thing you do is you recognise the shape. This is something over square root of something minus x squared. So you get your formula sheet and you go, where's the integral that has something minus x squared? So I'm looking for arc sine, sine to the negative 1, and you can write it either way. This rule has a 1 on top where I've got a 2. So I'm going to have to get rid of that 2. This rule also has a squared, whereas what I have isn't a square. But that's okay because 3 is root 3 squared. So this is 2 times the integral of 1 over the square root of. Now, you can just write 3 again, but if you prefer, you can go root 3 squared minus x squared. If it helps you, you can do this. I wouldn't normally. In fact, I want you to get to the point where you can go straight from this to the next line. And the next line says 2. Now, what was my formula from the formula sheet? It was arc sine x on a. 2 arc sine x on root 3 plus constant. And I'm very happy for you to get from here directly to this line. If you prefer, you can write it as sine to the negative 1 of x on root 3. Either of those is fine. I don't mind whether you call it arc sine or sine to the negative 1. If it helps, go via this intermediate step. Move the constant out the front. Rewrite this as something squared. Let's try another one. The integral of 4 over the square root of 7 minus x squared. So again, we ask ourselves, what pattern does this look like on the formula sheet? 1 over a squared minus x squared to be arc sine. But first I have to rearrange it a little. There's a constant 4 out the front, and a, this has to be a squared. So a is actually root 7. So it's 4 arc sine x over root 7 plus constant. What about this one? The integral of 1 over 9 plus x squared. Well, what does this look like? That looks like this rule, except this rule has an a on top, where I've got a 1. So I need this to be a, where this 9, not a, this 9 is actually a squared. So that means a has to be 3. So I am going to rewrite this. I'm going to fudge it first. I'm going to write the integral, then put a constant out the front. It's the integral of, I want 3 over 3 squared plus x squared. But if I've changed this 1 to a 3, I've effectively multiplied this by 3. So I have to divide by that 3. Do I need to say that again? I looked at this, and I looked at the formula sheet. And I said, it looks like this, but it needs to be a over a squared plus x squared. I've got 1. So if this is a squared, then a must be 3. Change this 1 to a 3, and then undo the multiply by 3 that I just did by dividing by 3. Then I can apply my rule. My rule says a over a squared plus x squared integrates to arctan of x on a. I'm going to write it the other way this time, just for fun. Tan to the minus 1 of x on 3. And what have I forgotten? Plus the constant.